So you want to become smart, and the world has been telling you the same story forever. 12 years of school, 4 years of college, 6 years of graduate school. And then congratulations, you're officially smart and unofficially unemployed. But hey, at least you'll be able to write your jobless Reddit rant in perfect English. So that's something. Here's the truth. Becoming smart is actually simple. Not easy, but simple. Even if you think you're not the smart type. Even if school convinced you you're average, even if you think your brain is made out of wet cardboard, because compared to every other animal on Earth, you're basically a walking supercomputer. You just haven't installed the right software yet. So let's fix that. Most people think being smart means solving equations under pressure or casually quoting philosophers at dinner. But in reality, when you say, I want to be smarter, what you really mean is, I want to understand things faster. I want to learn skills that actually matter. I want to remember what I study instead of going blank the moment the exam starts. And maybe, just maybe, you want to sound intelligent enough in conversations that people stop assuming you live exclusively on TikTok. The problem is that the internet gives you advice like blueberries, dark chocolate, classical music, drink black coffee, sleep 8 hours, sleep 4 hours, meditate, stop sugar, start sugar. Basically a wellness ritual made by someone who hasn't passed a math test since 2009. None of it makes you smarter, it just makes you stressed. So here's the truth. You don't need hacks, genius genes, or a childhood spent in a private Montessori academy. You just need to use your brain the way it was designed to be used. And the moment you understand that, becoming smart becomes shockingly simple. The main thing nobody tells you is this. Your brain doesn't get smarter from input, only from output. Reading, highlighting, rewatching feels productive, but your brain treats it like background noise. Your brain only grows when it has to work. And one of the simplest ways to force it to work is reading. Fiction helps you read faster and understand people better. Nonfiction gives you ideas you can actually use, the kind you can drop casually in a conversation without sounding like you're trying too hard. And don't overthink it. Just pick a topic you want to understand, search for a book on it, and start. Sometimes books cost money, and sometimes your finger slips and you end up with a free PDF. No judgment. Once you read things you actually care about, your brain stops memorizing and starts upgrading. Before you learn any skill, you need to understand this. Your brain doesn't need everything. It only needs the parts that actually matter. That's the 20-80 rule. About 20% of what you learn creates 80% of your results. It's why beginners improve insanely fast. The first small steps give huge gains. That's also why watching tutorials does nothing unless you practice. No one learns to tie a tie by watching the video. You learn it by actually tying the tie. Your brain upgrades when you do, not when you watch. So instead of trying to master all the information, focus on the few things that make the biggest difference. That's how you get smarter faster. But here's the problem. Sometimes you can't practice a skill in real life. You don't always have the tools, or the time, or, 2 cars lying around to practice jump-starting one. But your brain has a workaround. It's called mental practice. When you imagine yourself doing the full process, step by step, start to finish, your brain treats it almost the same as actually doing it. If you picture how to jumpstart a car, how to fix a mistake, how to solve a problem, your brain builds the pathway before you even touch the real thing. People think imagination is for daydreamers, but it's actually one of the fastest ways to learn. If you visualize the moment you'll use a skill, your brain locks it in. That's how you get smarter without even touching the skill yet. Then there is school. School teaches you something. Then you don't use it for 15 years, so your brain deletes it instantly. That's why tests exist. A test is just your teacher creating a fake situation where the information suddenly matters. And when something matters, your brain tries to remember it. But the moment the test is over, that's why most people forget almost everything they study. Repetition helps a little. But the thing that actually works? Practice questions. Practice questions recreate the moment your brain will need the information. They tell your mind, this is real. Pay attention. And if you want your brain to take it seriously, raise the stakes a tiny bit. Your brain remembers whatever feels important. Here's something nobody tells you about getting smarter. Your brain isn't slow. It's overloaded. There's a limit to how much information your working memory can hold at once. usually around 4 chunks of information, not pages, not paragraphs, chunks. If you try to learn too much at the same time, your brain doesn't store more, it just crashes. Scientists call this cognitive load theory. The more unnecessary stuff your brain has to process, the less space it has to actually learn. That's why complicated textbooks fry your brain, but simple explanations feel life-changing. The smarter approach? Remove the noise. Learn in chunks. Master small pieces instead of drowning in big ones. When you reduce the load, your brain suddenly learns faster, stores more, and actually remembers what you read. Not because you got smarter, but because your brain finally has room to work. Getting smarter isn't magic. It's not genetics. It's simply learning the way your brain was designed to learn. Small chunks, less noise, more intention. Do this consistently, and you won't just look smarter, you'll actually be smarter. If you want more simple wisdom like this, stick around. We're just getting started.